Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. So nice. Thank you very much. Please sit down. So we had a very exciting evening last night. And I went all around. You know the word caucus. It's a little complicated because you don't know how it's going to work out. And they say it's hard to poll, but we polled fine and we really won big last night. So we ended up getting 46% of the vote. And, you know, during the day I was walking, I saw all these people and they're all saying, Donald, we love you, Donald, we love you. But you never know what's going to happen. And as soon as we turned on the television last night, when the results started coming in, it was obvious from the beginning. So we had a really extraordinary night. And one of the things that made me so happy is we as you saw, we totally won with evangelicals. I mean, we were big league with evangelicals, and it was such a good thing. And we've worked very hard. You know, I'm Presbyterian, I'm Protestant. And there really is, and I was going to talk to Pat later on, who's a great gentleman, by the way. Over the years I've met him, I've watched him. The job he's done over here is incredible. And I just have to tell you, it's an honor to be with Pat. And I look forward to having him grill me. He'll probably be grilling me. But he's a great man and a great guy, and I've known him really. The last time I was with him was about 4 years ago. I was getting an award, the Boone Pickens Award for Entrepreneurship. And Pat was there, and I got to know him a little bit, and it was really great. So I think the reason we've been doing well and doing quite well in the polls and leading by a lot with almost everybody is that I talk about what we have to do for our country. And our country's in deep trouble. We owe $19 trillion. Most people don't even know what $1 trillion is. You know, how many hundreds of millions is in $1 trillion? It's such a number. You know, it's a name that 10 years ago you'd never even heard the word trillion. But we owe $19 trillion. A very bad budget was passed just about 4 weeks ago that's going to add at least $2 trillion to it. So we'll be up essentially to $21 trillion. And, you know, at a certain point, it's really the point of no return. And you really have to have somebody that knows what he or she is doing. And I do know what I'm doing. When it comes to business, I know what I'm doing. It's been an amazing period of time for me. It's been great. In fact, my 2 sons are backstage. Maybe I'm allowed to bring them up because I'm very proud of my boys. So maybe I'll bring them. Maybe I'll bring them on. And good. That's beautiful. This is Don and this is Eric, and they were with me for the last week, and they go around making speeches, and this way I'll send them. They do a better job than me anyway, so I go into the room and I watch television, you know, and they say, the Trumps are making speeches. Say hello, Don.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here. It's nice to be able to be a proxy for him because we know what he feels about this country. We know the values that he's instilled in us growing up. Education, family, work ethic. All of these things that are often lost on children of similar fortune. You don't read about many children that came from the kind of wealth that we were able to brought up with in the way that you perhaps read about us. And I won't talk about myself that way, but I'll talk about my brother and sister that way. So those are all things that he doesn't get credit for. Those are the things that you don't see. Those are the things you don't see when he's a father, when he's now a grandfather to my 5 children. It's really incredible. He likes to talk about business, and he's phenomenal at that, but if you knew the real Donald, you'd also see something really special. He's an incredible guy, and we're just thankful that he's doing this for not only ourselves, our children behind them, but for everyone in this country, because he'll do a phenomenal job.
You know, to reiterate what Don really said, he has been our best friend. He's been our mentor. He's just the absolute greatest. We've worked across the table with him for the last 10 years, building hotels and golf courses and everything all over the world. And, everything he touches turns to gold. I say that all the time, but everything he touches turns to gold. And, that's the touch that this country needs. It really is. And there will be no better commander-in-chief. I said it a long time ago. I said it 3-4 months ago that we're going to win this thing. And I really think we are, and he will be such a great president. So we're proud of you, Pops. We love you to death, and we'll give it back to you.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, honey. Thank you. Thank you, sweetie. So a lot of times people ask me to speak about success, friends of mine, and they'll even make big payments and we give it to charity and stuff, but I'll do it. And so often I'll say, the really successful people are the people not with the great wealth, but with the great families, where they have great kids and wives and husbands. And those are the people that are the happiest. And I don't know if I'm speaking against myself here, but the fact is that, you can have, I know the most successful people in the world. I deal with them all the time. I know them. I know them in many cases very well. These are not the happiest people, generally. A couple of happy, not too many. Because, no matter how successful, they all want more, more, more. It's never satisfied. And I guess I get a little bit guilty of that also. But the fact is that the happiest people I know are the people with great families that love their families and when their families love them. So it's something I talk about during success seminars. And a lot of times the people running the seminar don't want to hear that. That's not exactly what they want to hear. But I have to be truthful. So, and there's a good example. I have two really great boys. I have 5 children altogether. And they've been fantastic. You know Ivanka. Most of you know Ivanka, who's going to have a baby in about a week. We've been waiting. We thought Iowa. We thought New Hampshire. Right? We thought South Carolina. We thought Vegas would be an interesting place to have a baby. A much different deal. But she probably, during the next week or two, she'll have a baby. And she's been spectacular. Then I have Tiffany and I have Barron. And they're all very good kids. So hopefully they'll stay that way. Where's wood? I think I should knock on wood. I'll have to find some later. Wait. Is anybody superstitious? Oh, that's real wood too. That's the real deal. So anyway, no, they're good kids and it's really great. What we have to do, and I think the reason we're resonating is we have to straighten out our trade deals. They're horrible. With China, we lose in trade $500 billion a year. What kind of a deal is that? With Japan, we lose hundreds of billions of dollars. It's much smaller than China, but hundreds. We owe Japan $1.6 trillion. We owe China $1.7 trillion. It's sort of an amazing thing, right? They take our money, and then we owe them money. They take our jobs, we owe them money. They take our factories. You have no idea how many are closing up and have closed up. And I have great relationships with China. I have great relationships with Japan. I have great relationships with Mexico. But Mexico is killing us at the border, and they're killing us in trade. You read the other day where carriers moving into Mexico. Did anybody read that story? I thought it was very sad. Carrier, they make air conditioners, and they're moving in. And they released 1,400 people, and I guess somebody had a cell phone going, which I'm sure Carrier was not thrilled with because it went all over the world. And the executive was standing up saying, we're closing up and we're going to move to, all those jobs are gone, and we're going to move to Mexico. And I said to myself, how does that help us? How does it help us? So they're going to make air conditioners, they're going to sell them across the border, probably have illegals walk them in because it's cheaper that way. Nobody checks them. Well, nobody checks them. So, just every illegal gets an air conditioner, walks across. Well, Ford does the same thing, they're probably Ford's building a $2.5 billion plant, and they'll have illegals drive the cars across the border. So, it's very sad. Honestly, it's very sad. It's so bad that sometimes you have to laugh. You can't even believe it. So Ford is building a massive plant. Nabisco is moving from Chicago into Mexico. I mean, Mexico is literally the new China. They're taking our business. It's going to become the car capital of the world. They took a plant out of Tennessee. It was scheduled to be built in Tennessee, and boom, Tennessee is such a great place. They took it. Last moment, it decided it's going to Mexico. So we have to do something, and we have to have borders. We have to have strong borders. If we don't have borders, we don't have a country. And people can come into our country, but they have to come in legally. They can't do what they're doing. We have right now 179,000 illegal immigrants who are criminals, who have criminal convictions. That means all 179, think of that. So that's like filling up Yankee Stadium 4 times. We have all over the country. These are criminals. This is not just, these are people that were convicted of a crime. So we're going to be very strong on the borders. We're going to be very, very strong on trade. We're going to be very strong on protecting our Second Amendment. We're going to get rid of Common Core, which is basically education through Washington, which is a disaster, by the way, and you understand that. And we're going to get rid of Obamacare. Obamacare is turned out to be a total disaster. And it's really hurting our country. It's really hurting our country because you have so many part-time jobs right now because people don't want to register under Obamacare, and you have part-time. Everyone has part-time jobs. I mean, you look at these people; they never had a part-time job in their life, and now all of a sudden, companies are putting them on part-time, and now they have to go get a second job. So it's a very unfair thing, and we're going to get rid of it. We're going to come up with a plan. There's so many different plans, whether it's the healthcare savings accounts or we have to get rid of the lines between the states. That's only there for one reason, because all of these politicians that I'm running against and more are taken care of by the insurance companies, and they're taken care of by the oil and gas companies, and they're taken care of by everybody. I'm the only one that's not. You know why I'm not? Because I'm self-funding. I don't know if that's smart or not so smart, but as a big contributor, I've been over the years a very big contributor. I understand. I mean, I understand what it takes. We have a situation right now with drugs. We don't bid out drugs. Can you believe it? The United States is the largest drug buyer in the world. Drugs to make you better, pharmaceuticals. And we don't bid it out. And a friend of mine who's a doctor, great guy, came up to me and said, Donald, why don't we? I don't understand it. Well, once I found out what he was talking about, because it's not my world, I knew exactly why. Because the pharmaceutical industry takes care of all the senators and all the congressmen. They have a very strong lobby. And they don't want to bid out drugs. If you bid them out, we'll save $300 billion. $300 billion. And we don't even do it. We're going to do it. Because what happens, if I'm there, they'll be calling, Donald, you can't do that. You can't do it. Trust me, I can do it. They can't do it. Because they've been given millions of dollars. You don't know how corrupt it is. And I guess it's called legal corruption. But you don't know how corrupt it is. And whether it's timber industries, anything, I'll do the right thing. By the way, I'm going to be great for industries too, but I'll do the right thing. But we have to straighten our country out. One of the other things bigger than that is military. I mean, for years we've been seeing the military, and I've been reading about it for years, where they order a plane that they don't want, or they order missiles that they don't want, they want a different one. Because the company making that missile has more political influence, so they're ordering things that even the generals don't want, and they're ordering too much equipment, and they're ordering the wrong equipment. Those days are over. And we're going to make our military bigger, better, stronger than ever before. We need it more than it's the cheapest thing we can do, by the way. And nobody's going to mess with us. I don't want to use it. Nobody's going to mess with us. Remember, I'm the one. I didn't want to go into Iraq. It was one of the worst decisions ever made. We lost $2 trillion, thousands and thousands of lives. Thousands of lives. We have wounded warriors who I love all over the place. And what happens? Iran is now taking over Iraq. When you think of how Iran is doing lately, right? Between the Iran deal, we give them $150 billion. We got nothing for it. We should have gotten our prisoners back long before we started negotiating. And all you do is say, listen, we're not negotiating until we get our prisoners back. We can't. And they'll say no, and you leave the room. They didn't leave the room. They never left. They just stood there. Kerry, this is the worst negotiator I think I've ever seen. He never left the room. But all you have to do is say, we need our prisoners back. This is like 4 years ago when they started this longest negotiation I've ever seen, too. But you say, we have to have our prisoners back. They're going to say no. The Persians, I mean, Pat can tell you that. The Persians are great negotiators. And they're smart. And it's tough. But you go and you say, we need our prisoners back. You don't want them. You don't need them. Your people don't even know they're there. We need them. And we got to have them. And we'll make a better deal because it's easier. So then they'll say no. And we'll leave the room. We'll say bye-bye. And then we double up the sanctions, and within 24 hours they're going to call and say, you get your prisoners back, right? Then you go in for seconds because you have to do this. So you go in and you say, listen, and I tell the story, which is sort of cute. My father was a very good negotiator, and he thought I was too rough. He said, too tough. You're too tough. You got to just take the lumps out. He used to use the expression. He'd always go like this when he'd say, son, take the lumps out. So if I didn't have my father, I would have said this. We're not giving you the $150 billion. So they'd be over there and they'd be angry and, you probably never bring it back. But I'd say it very tough. We're not giving it to you. But now I learned so much from my father. So I take the lumps out. So now I say, listen, we have a problem. Now, in the meantime, our prisoners back, they landed. I'd say, did they land yet? No, I won't say it yet. Let's wait till the next day. Did they land? Yes, they just landed on American soil. So now I say, fellas, we have a problem. Big problem. We have a country not doing well. We owe $19 trillion. Essentially, we're bust. We got no money. We got no money. We just had a budget approved for $2 trillion with $21 trillion. We have no money. Fellas, we can't give you the $150 billion. They're going to go crazy. They're going to go crazy. One day. One day. And then I'll say, I'm sorry, I want to give it to you so badly, you have no idea. I'm dying to give it to you, but I can't, we don't have any money. So that's better than saying, we're not giving it to you, right? Do we all agree? It's the same effect, except this way they recover faster. They probably both work. I know the second one works. The first one, you